The shot didn't echo like in the movies. It just landed flat and heavy, like betrayal splitting the quiet sky over a small Georgia town. 14-year-old Jalen Carter never saw it coming. His hands were midair, signing the words his mom taught him when he was little. I'm just going home. He had his sketchbook tucked to his chest, his red backpack slung on one shoulder, skinny legs carrying him down the library steps. And then, a hollow pop barely louder than the wind. His body jerked back, folded, and hit the pavement. The world froze for 1 second, then cracked open. A woman screamed. A coffee cup spilled across the curb. A child across the street began to cry. Jalen's sketchbook hit the ground, pages flying open, superheroes with hearing aids. Kids with open hands instead of fists, drawings of boys like him who didn't have to be afraid. Except now, Jalen was bleeding into his pale hoodie, his cochlear implant snapped off and buzzing faintly on the curb. Jesus, Ryan, what the hell did you do? Officer Brett Hanley grabbed at his partner's arm, but Officer Ryan Cole just stood there, gun still, raised breath, coming like he'd sprinted a mile. He muttered he was throwing up gang signs. He was signing a voice cut across the chaos. It was Mariah Lewis who owned the diner on the corner. She'd rushed outside with her apron still on, mop water dripping from her hand, phone already recording. That boy is deaf. He walks this block every day. Her voice trembled, but her phone didn't shake. Jalen's fingers twitched, not from will, just muscle spasms. His lips parted, maybe reaching for air, maybe trying to speak words he couldn't hear himself. He couldn't hear the sirens, the officers shouting, or the phone's recording. But his mother, miles away, she felt it. Aurora Carter was knee-deep in the guts of a broken dialysis machine night shift at the hospital in Savannah when her vest buzzed against her chest. Not a text, not a call, a coded pulse. She pulled the old device from her pocket, scratched screen, glowing 3 words in blood-red letters. Breach, Jalen. For a second, the room narrowed to a tunnel. She didn't collapse, didn't scream. She exhaled once, set down her tools, and locked the storage closet. Aurora hadn't used her NSA clearance in 5 years, hadn't touched the network since her husband killed in an operational accident. They never explained that left her raising their son alone. She'd buried that life, changed her name, kept her head down. But she never stopped preparing. She had given Jalen 2 implants, one for sound, one for survival. That second one had just saved his life by telling her the unthinkable had happened. Aurora pulled a second phone from her boot, typed 1 word. Lock. And in 15 seconds flat, every data stream tied to the Chatham County Police froze. Dispatch logs, body cam uploads, AI decision trees wiped clean. They didn't even know it yet. By the time she walked out of the hospital, her badge already recoded with a ghost ID, she was back in a world she thought she'd left behind. Meanwhile, in the trauma bay, Jalen's hoodie was cut open, blood soaking the sheets. Dr. Eliza Nguyen cursed as she tried to clamp the artery. Where's his mother? A nurse asked. Eliza just shook her head. She was too busy keeping a child alive. Back at the scene, the crowd thickened. Phones up, news vans pulling in. A hashtag began to flicker across screens before the sun even set. Justice for Jalen. And in a dark office at the precinct, Captain Hal Mercer rubbed his temples. He knew the system they'd been piloting, the AI program called Sentry, wasn't supposed to see daylight. It flagged Jalen's hand movements as erratic possible concealment. He'd greenlit the test run himself, thinking no one would ever notice if a small-town case got buried. But someone was already digging, and that someone was Jalen's mother. Aurora walked into the hospital like she belonged, scrub's mask badge clipped at the right angle. She didn't go to the waiting room. She went straight to the records wing, slid a candy bar-sized note into a network port, and in 30 seconds had every admission log, every flagged patient file. Jalen's was stamped critical and tagged under police incident. She burned it onto a drive and kept moving. By midnight, she was watching the raw body cam footage on a cracked laptop in a supply room. She saw Jalen's small frame sketchbook, clutched hands signing slow, deliberate. She didn't need subtitles. She taught him those words herself. I'm just going home. And then Ryan Cole's voice. Stop moving. No pause, no warning. The shot, the fall. Aurora's jaw locked. No tears, no scream. She went frame by frame. In the metadata, she saw it. Sentry flag, blackmail, unknown gestures, nonverbal. The system hadn't misfired. Someone at the precinct had manually triggered the scan. And the signature ID, Hal Mercer himself. At dawn, a knock at a maintenance alcove. A young officer, Dana Shaw hoodie, pulled tight eyes darting. Aurora didn't even turn her head, just said, "You're late," Dana flinched. "I saw it. I wasn't on the call, but I saw him raise the weapon. I tried to report it. Mercer shut me down. Said if I wanted a nice transfer, I'd keep quiet. If not, they'd bury me in a county with no backup." Her voice cracked. He was just signing. My cousin signs. It looked exactly the same. She slid a flash drive across the table. "It's my body cam backup. I never turned it in. I think, I think you know what to do with it." Aurora took it calm, deliberate. "You want comfort, stay silent. You want justice, give me the truth." The next day, a 90-second video appeared online. No music, no edits, just body cam footage of Jalen signing, the officer shouting, then the gunshot. Silence. A boy collapsing. Within an hour, over 1 million views. By nightfall, protests began, but not the old kind. This time, crowds stood in silence, hands raised in ASL. Cardboard signs read, "Hands are not weapons. Silence is not compliance. Justice for Jalen." And in that hospital bed, Jalen stirred. Doctor said he wouldn't wake for a week, but by the third day, his eyes blinked open. Aurora's head snapped up from the monitor. His lips moved, no sound. His hand lifted weakly, clumsy, but clear. "Am I still me?" Aurora's throat tightened. She covered his hand with hers and signed back. "You're more than you ever were. You're the reason they're trembling." 3 nights later, a live stream went live from Jalen's room. A pale boy oxygen line under his nose, interpreter beside him. His hands moved slow, then sharper, stronger. The interpreter's voice followed. "My name is Jalen Carter. I am 14 years old. I was shot for speaking in a language you didn't understand. I was not a threat. I was not violent. I was going home." His signs grew more forceful. "You saw hands as danger, silence as defiance, but you never saw me. My language is not a weapon. I will not be erased." The video shook the country. Schools streamed it on projectors. Deaf communities marched in silence. Kids painted banners that said, "See me." Senators demanded an inquiry into predictive policing. And in precinct offices, cops whispered about resigning. Some did, leaving badges taped to resignation notes. But Aurora wasn't done. She leaked the audio. Dana had saved a meeting where Mercer and Mayor Brock discussed how to spin non-compliance if the system's errors ever went public. The mayor's voice cold and clear. "If we admit the algorithm failed, the funding disappears. Spin it. Deaf or not, the kid moved too fast." The city erupted. Officers turned on commanders. Mercer was suspended, then arrested for obstruction. Mayor Brock resigned live on TV, her voice cracking as chants roared outside City Hall. And in a packed courtroom, weeks later, Jalen walked down the aisle, stiff but steady. He raised his hands, palms open. "I am still here." The jury watched body cam footage where his signs, translated by an expert, read, "I'm not a threat." The verdict was swift. Guilty. Aurora didn't stand or cheer. She just sat in the back, calm, knowing she'd turned silence into proof and proof into collapse. When reporters searched for her afterwards, she was already gone, building something new. A nonprofit called Open Hands, a place for families to upload footage, hidden records, any truth that had been buried. Months later, Jalen stood at a youth summit, thinner but alive. He walked to the podium, lifted his hands. The lights dimmed, translation flickered on a screen. I don't need to scream to be heard. I just need to be seen. The room rose in silence, hands lifted in ASL. We see you. And outside that hall, the city still argued. Was justice served, or had a system too rotten to fix? Just lost one more mask. Some said Aurora was a hero, others called her a danger. But no one could deny the silence wasn't empty anymore. It was roaring. So let me ask you, when someone signs instead of shouting, when someone speaks a language you never bothered to learn, do you see them, or do you see a threat? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what justice means to you. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that matter.